Good evening and welcome along to another episode of Not Another Rangers podcast, the podcast that is and always will be free. We're now on audio platforms now. You can find us on Podbean and download us there if you don't want to see our ugly cuttings and would rather listen to us on the go. So if you were to describe this season as a movie so far, what would the title be? Would our boardroom be Horrible Bosses? Our Champions League exit was like Apollo Creed hitting the canvas in Rocky IV. And after the important League Cup win against St Johnstone, we are now finally in the pursuit of happiness. One thing is for sure, if we beat them on the 1st of September, I will be like Jim in the infamous American Pie scene where he dances for Nadia. Joining me to discuss all things Rangers are Mr. Scott Kerr and Ricky Forbes. Scott, how are we?
Still wet. I'm not long in for work, and I was kind of stopped laughing and watch you're dancing like Jim.
And Ricky, how's yourself, mate?
That was good until you put the images in my head, but apart from that, really good. Crisis? What crisis?
Well, that's why it will be good on audio platforms, because then you won't actually see the visuals. So if we get into it, before we touch on the St Johnstone game in full, I think it would be remiss of us not to talk about the contentious or serious issue at the weekend, and that was the behaviour of certain Rangers fans where the St Johnstone SLO was concerned. Obviously, she was assaulted and had her drum stolen from her, just attending a football game, supporting our own club. By all accounts, there's a good relationship with most fan bases, does a lot for disabled fans across the board in Scottish football. It doesn't reflect well on us as a club, Care, does it?
No, it doesn't. But listen, these things happen at all football grounds at times, but you don't like to see it happening in your own. And it was shocking. It was a vile thing to happen at any game, and I'm actually happy the people involved have been, well, one boy's been arrested and a couple others have been banned. It's the only way you can do it. Listen, I get a lot of these boys go to football when they're younger. I used to do it myself at that age, and you go and you're maybe had a few drinks before you go in it, and you're full of adrenaline, you're full of stuff to try and get to a game. But these things, stealing a drum, come on. You want to go back to the pub and talk about how you stole a drum off a wee lady? Come on, that's pointless, do you know what I mean? But I don't know what goes through some people's heads at times, but listen, the boy's going to regret it. He's been banned. He could end up in the jail as well. He's going to regret it. And sometimes just think before you act, but it's no great. But I'm happy the club have acted fast and the police have acted fast. And because we're all like that, Davey. I know reading a lot of comments, we're all getting stereotyped in the same way, but no all Rangers fans are like that. No all football fans are like that, but no all Rangers fans are like that. And I'm fed up getting stereotyped in a way where if one guy does something, everybody's branded the same way. We're not like that, do you know what I mean? So we just have to move on, but it's good to see the girl at St Johnstone, Beverly. She's said that she's feeling a lot better, and hopefully she gets back to doing what she does well for St Johnstone Football Club and gets back to football and not having any fear that date's doing that to her again.
Absolutely, and so say all of us. Ricky, you get anything to add to that?
No, just I saw her son put on social media last night that she was okay and she was pretty shooken up, but these guys need to go and support the team. We don't need to be seeing anything like that, and I hopefully that's the last incident we see like that in Scottish football this season, because it's shocking. And I'm just glad the woman is okay, and I hope that she gets back to supporting her team and enjoying the football like what we all want to do.
Absolutely. Scott, if we can touch on the game now, I think to say that we've been negative on this podcast, certainly it's came across in the comment section at certain times. However, we're only calling it as we see it. So let's start with the positive first, and that would be the second half performance against St Johnstone. There were some decent passages of play. We did look a more attacking threat in the second half. You got any positive takes in particular for yourself? Who get pass marks for you?
I've actually watched the game twice, Davey. I was happy with the first time I watched it again. I just watched it back because sometimes you miss stuff. And I actually thought, I know Daniel had a few chances, but it was good to see him playing again. 45 minutes under his belt, doing well, and it was unlucky not to score. The keeper had a couple of decent saves. It was unlucky, but I think that's just lack of fitness, lack of sharpness in the game. That will come to him, but it's good to see him back in the pitch. thought we actually done okay at times. I thought we played some decent stuff. So I did, and I like to say I thought we've attacked well. Listen, I've slagged Tavernier recently, and I still will, because defensively he's a man down, but I thought he done well going forward on Saturday. I thought Jeffrey was really good. So I did, and I just think at some point we look really good going forward. Defensively we're still causing concern. And it didn't help when Proper went off injured, but we're still causing some concern. Thought Suter done okay again. I've been critical of him. But like the manager did say, I've been critical of the manager, but like he did say, we did create 3, 4, 5 chances. We could have scored the 4 goals in Saturday. St Johnstone a couple of efforts, but we could have scored 4 goals and never. But the main thing was to get through. We got a clean sheet, and that's all we can ask at this point. We can't expect miracles, especially for Wednesday to, Tuesday to Saturday. So getting through to the next round is basically all we can ask for at this moment in time. And some of the patches of play was good, some wasn't, but I'm trying to pick out the positives. Kind of fed up, we're fed up criticising the team. We want to try and look to the positives and look forward, and that's all we can kind of try and do at this moment in time.
Ricky, if we talk about one of the positives that Kerr mentioned, and that is Yefty, he has played his last sort of few games as the winger in the left-hand side, but he was at left back at the weekend, and I have to say, I think he covered himself in glory. Certainly there was question marks during pre-season about his positional sense, but I think he looks to get involved in the play. He's comfortable on the ball. And I think he provides that one thing that we've lacked at the back at certain spells, and that is physicality. He doesn't shirk a challenge. He's strong in the tackle, and that is encouraging to see.
Yeah, no, he's Brazilian. I mean, what you've got to take your hat off to him is his age. He's very young. And I think he will speak a bit of English, because in Cyprus, where he was playing last year, I would imagine he would have been communicating in English with a guy. So I'm sure he speaks a bit of English. I really liked how he got up and down the park. He liked really well with Matondo. He put some good balls through into the box as well. He seems to have a bit about him when it comes to a final ball as well. You know, he's not just running up and down the touchline with no end product. So it'll be interesting to see how he progresses moving forward. I mean, there is concerns about him defensively, and if I'm going to be a little bit critical, I'm worried about going to Parkhead in 10 days' time, because they're right wingers on for him, and he's quite fast. So Clement will have to be smart with how he sets up the defence, because the way Tav's defending, and if Yefte's just bombing forward and leaving a lot of space at the back, it could be a concern. But for games like Ross County and St Johnstone and our usual games, when we get back to Ibrox, he'll be superb for us, because he's got that Brazilian flair, and he's always going up and down the touchline, and he puts in some great balls. To touch on Saturday's game, I think it was one of the games that if we had...
Oh, I think we've just lost Ricky there, Kerr. So we'll just take that a wee step forward until he comes back in regards to, you know, the positives. And I think two of the positives that we found at the weekend was how we took our finishes. Let's touch on the second one in particular. And I think Ross McCausland is a guy who has probably had it from both ends of the fan base. Some would like to see him progress and make that wee step on, and some criticise him and think he doesn't do enough. But that finish was really accomplished, showed great composure in front of goal, and had that been a world beater, you know, that scored that, everybody would be talking about it. But it was a real terrific finish, wasn't it?
It was. Listen, that's what Ross can offer you, and I've stuck up for Ross quite a lot because I like him as a player. Listen, he's still young. I know he's played a good few amount of first team games now over the last couple of seasons, but he's still learning. He's still coming on to his own game, and he does lack a bit of physicality at times, Davey. We know that, but we can see what he's got. He likes to get it forward. He puts in a shift, Davey. He was always criticised on his defensive play at times, but he does get back. He does put in a tackle, and he can finish, as we've seen. Maybe his final ball lets him down, and maybe sometimes, as a lot of people say, he looks quite weak putting the ball into the box and stuff like that. But I think that's going to come. But see, when guys like this, I like to see this on the side because he's a young guy coming through, and he wants to do well for the side. I don't mind Clement putting him in the side because I think you've seen the goal he scored last season in Europe as well, and the goal at Tynecastle he scored. And I just think Ross has got something about him, and I think it helps us at times. I'm not saying he's the best winger at the club because we're saying that there's not many wingers at the club, Dave, is there? But he's got something and he can offer us something. And it's good to see him because he's got a lot of confidence when he does play and he gives 110%. And I don't mind that, to be honest with you. Rather Ross McCoist getting game time and other players, to be honest with you, because I think Ross wants to improve and he wants to get better and he wants the club to go forward. Whereas I think some are just stealing their age, but less said about them, the better. But no, it was a great finish and hopefully there's more to see for us this season.
No, absolutely. And, you know, somebody that we have been critical of has been John Souttar at times in terms of his defensive play. But what I thought, you know, was a bit of a throwback to his Hearts performances, especially in the second half, was the way that he carried the ball forward and looked to get involved in play. We need to see more of that for John Souttar because he's got it in his locker. And what I think, whilst he might be questioned in terms of recovery pace, what he has got is he's quick at dribbling with the ball. He moves the ball forward a lot quicker than you think. And it's almost funny to say it, but he moves quicker with the ball than he does without it. And that sort of moving it for, you know, defence into midfield very quickly opens up the pitch and makes us look more of an attacking threat. So going forward, if Souttar is going to be a mainstay in Clement's backline, that's something that we have to, you know, use more of as a weapon going forward, don't we?
We do, and I think, listen, we've all been critical of John Souttar, and I think it's because we were expecting a lot more from him, because we know what it was like with Hearts, and we know he was a siege mentality defender, but we knew he could come out with the ball at his feet. He was good at reading the game. Yeah, maybe he does lack a bit of pace at times, but his physicality was always there. I don't think we've seen enough of John Souttar, to be honest with you, playing like that. He seems, I don't know if it's because he's too scared players running about him, make mistakes, maybe Tavernier, or maybe playing a different centre-back, or out the side or in the side. But I think if he continues to play with proper, the two of them together, just having a good run of games together, I think they'll form a good partnership, because I think that's what we need. We need a good centre-back pairing, because we mix it up too much, and sometimes you're mixing up your back four too much, especially your centre-backs. It can affect the whole defence and also your keeper. So if him and Proper can come on a game together and develop an understanding, and because I think you see with Proper, he doesn't mind a challenge either. I think that's how he get injured right enough, but he'll go in for the ball. He's good with the ball at his feet as well. But no, last couple of games I've seen John Souttar, I agree with you. He seems more confident, doesn't he? It doesn't seem as edgy. But I don't know if maybe because Sterling's in the side on Saturday as well. Maybe I thought, well, if Tav makes a mistake, Sterling can cover for me. Sterling can cover for him instead of me. So, no, but hopefully John Souttar continues these type of performances, because this is what you need to see.
And I think I want to touch on Paul's point here, because I think it's very apparent. This is what upped the tempo in the second half, was the introduction of Conor Barron. I think he's key to how we play. He advances us up the pitch and he imposes himself on the on position. He's comfortable taking the ball in tight spaces, and he's got a good range of passing, which I wasn't aware of before he came here, but he is really comfortable on the ball. I think he's a big positive in terms of the team. He ups the tempo. I think he G's up those around him. I think he has all the hallmarks of what you expect of a Rangers midfielder to be. And certainly I think he's going to be a mainstay in this team going forward. Kerr, what about yourself?
I think he has to, Davis, especially how he started the season. Listen, he will go through a lull, all players do. But I think you have to keep playing him and he plays through it. Listen, he's still young. He's not playing with any fear. He wants to play, you can see that. But he's a lot better than a lot of people gave him credit for. And I think it's just because we didn't really know what he was going to offer us, because he wasn't a permanent fixture in Aberdeen side. He was in and out as well. But since he's came in here, he's covering spaces, he's coming deep, which I know a lot of folk don't like, but he's coming deep. I mean, he comes deep, as you said, and Paul said, Souttar can go forward. But he's covering deep because he knows, a few times he's covered that deep, the ball's come across, and he's the one that's actually cleared it, or the one that's got it and moved it forward again. But when he gets the ball, he doesn't even think twice, he goes forward, but he doesn't just stop, he keeps running. And he is good with his back to goal, and he can get the ball that way, and he does it in tight situations, and he can use both feet, but he puts his head up, Davey, and he plays with a smile, and he plays full of confidence. Conor Barron walks onto a park and says, I'm the best player in this park. It might not be, but he thinks he is, And that's how he performs well, because he doesn't fear anybody he's playing against. And I think that some of his teammates have to look at him and think, we need to do the same. But I think we've seen with him in the side, with Sterling and with Diamandi push further forward, I think we looked a lot better. Double didn't do enough for me to warrant another game. That's just my opinion of Kieran Dillard, but I don't think he done enough. I think the three we've got, I know taking Sterling out of the equation, I know he's not going to be playing it right back to players there, but I think either with somebody else in with Barron and Diamandi, you move Diamandi forward, but I don't think he'll stay there. I think he will bring back Lawrence, but we see more of it because Deal's got more legs to get back up, but he can more legs to work with the centre forward. But Conor Barron's a great prospect, and you can see what he's got to offer, and he's going to get better. And this, I know everybody mentions a poor trading model, which we keep talking about, but Conor Barron's probably the first one we probably bought. You can think, if he continues this, we will be able to keep holding him, and that's what we want.
No, and just on time, Ricky comes back in. So what I want to talk about
guys.
now... No, you're all right, Ricky. What I want to talk about now is obviously the Dessers goal. There was much, shall we say, media controversy surrounding it. And I just want to clarify this up. I know Marvin Bartley sensationalised it when he was on Premier Sports, and so did Michael Stewart. But let's call it as we see it in real time, because the referee, Matthew McDermott, gets himself into position. He's holding the whistle near his mouth. He gets his body shape in the position like he's going to signal for the foul, but he doesn't signal for the foul. He sees there's an attacking phase of play and lets it continue. Dessers continues that attacking phase of play, scores the goal. The goal hits the back of the net, and at that point, Matthew McDermott whistles and then signals for the foul, extends the point, and St Johnstone get a free kick. And that is why VAR were allowed to review it. And as we see in the replay, boy stands on Dessers' foot. Dessers doesn't foul him, and it's overturned, and Rangers get the goal. Now, for me, it's one of the very few times where, whilst the referee doesn't call the original incident right, the way he manages the situation allows VAR to correct his mistake. So all round, the team got it correct. I don't get this media sensationalism where it looks to, say that Rangers benefited from it, Ricky, where we clearly did not. What's your take on it?
Davey, who would be a referee in Scotland, honestly, mate? When you've got people like Michael Stewart, absolute Rangers hater, rambling on for 20 minutes after the incident, just talking absolute garbage. I've heard referees talking today. Oh, I feel sorry for these referees. How they can do that as a job, and the stick that they take every single weekend when they make decisions, whether the decisions are right or wrong. We absolutely slaughter them. 9 times out of 10, they get the decisions right, and they're still getting absolutely slaughtered by pundits with agendas that just want to absolutely crucify them for days and days in the press, the write articles about them. We need to stop all that. It's a part of Scottish football that will go too far in Scotland, and we'll let our...
Well, obviously, Ricky's Wi-Fi isn't quite holding up as good as the VAR was. But if we take it in isolation, then the referee did correct his mistake through VAR, and that's what VAR is there for, to clear and obvious errors. So for you, was it the correct use of VAR? And where do you buy into the sort of media pylon? Is your club just an easy target just now because there is that lack of leadership for the boardroom that comes out and fights and shoots this noise down?
Probably half of that's right, David, but I think it's a talking point for the media. It's a talking point for the commentators, and I think what happened during the week, they've just jumped on this as well to say, well, Rangers don't always get decisions against them. But listen, the referee, I thought, done really well, because he could have blown earlier and give a free kick, and then he couldn't have looked back, but he waited and waited and waited. We see in England that weekend, I can't remember the game, but the ref blew too early and they couldn't look back even though the goal was scored. So he done well to do that. I had to go and look, but that's what VAR's there for. He went and looked and he gave the goal, and It's one of these things. I know Craig Levein was angry. Listen, if I was a St John's manager, I probably would have been angry as well, thinking why is that, especially when they blew for a free kick. But if you look at it, it was correct what he done. And VAR got it right, he got it right. And it's not really a talking point, but, and again, a magnitude and Coach Rangers and involvement, it's on TV. The media are going to make out to be a talking point, aren't they?
Absolutely, Keir. And if we take the game, we've spoke about the positives, we spoke about Barron, but there were a few negatives, and at times in the first half, Kimpioka up front caused us that sort of physical problem that we've struggled with at times. He's running off the ball. Certainly caused us problems. They were a strong front too. They got in behind us, and I think they exploited down James Tavernier's side. I think again he didn't cover himself in glory, Keir. And I think his position is the one where if Clermont had the balance right in midfield, whether he wants to play with a 10, whether he's got his 10 in, or whether we've got a 6, I think he has to make a decision come Ross County where Dujon Sterling's got to play against Celtic, because if Dujon Sterling is going to be playing at right back, he has to come in and play right back against Ross County, because I don't think we can go to Parkhead with Tavernier at right back.
Listen, I'm agreeing with you. Everybody probably watching is agreeing with you, and people that aren't watching probably agree with you. But the manager's going to play James Tavernier. I don't think he's going to drop him. I don't think he's going to replace him. He spoke in an interview how he thought Tav was playing good going forward. And he was to a point, but going forward is an issue for me. His numbers aren't going to be like what they have been, because we know his legs aren't the same. But defensively, he's going to cost us, and he's going to cost us big, especially in the big games. But not even the big games, he's just going to cost us. I think every team he's played against this season, somebody's went by him very easily. I know just the ones went by him a few times, and I think teams are going to target him. Down the other side, they might not target us as much, but I think down that right side, because Cherny doesn't really offer a coming back because he wants to go forward, Tav's going to be cut out. And that's where I was talking about John Suter earlier. John Suter's probably involved in some of this because he has to cover for him all the time. And when he's covering for Tav, then his own game kind of goes to his side, because he's thinking, well, I'd take this instead of Tavernier getting it, because if he doesn't get it, I'm struggling. So maybe he'll come across to help out, and that's where there's gaps left. So I think a manager's going to have to look at it from a team point of view, and as in to say, could I put Sterling in there? You might want to put him somewhere else, but if I put Sterling at right back, it'll make us stronger to get on people attacking us. But I don't think he will, because I think as long as James Tavernier's here and James Tavernier's captain, he'll play him. Listen, Tav's not going to come up to the manager and say, listen, boss, my legs are away, or I don't feel I'm playing that well, leave me out of sight. Not really any football player does it. Once in a blue moon, I remember Guy Neville done it at half time because he was getting roasted at West Brom, and he just didn't want to get roasted anymore, so he came into Alec Ferguson and said, I'm done. But I don't think Tavernier's at a stage yet, but I think there's something happening behind the scenes that is causing him not to play well. Is it his legs? Is it his fitness? Is it both? Or is he in a bad mood because they didn't get his move? I don't really know what it is, but it's going to cost us in the long run, and I think it will cost us badly.
My Wi-Fi's having a Tav.
Don't worry about that, mate. But see, if we take the point about James Tavernier, Ricky, if you look at our opposition, Celtic brought Dyson Maida back into the squad yesterday.
Of course they did.
And obviously we have a view to playing him against us, to target down that side. He'll be eased back in, so he's back up to full speed when we come around. And I suspect James Forrest will drop out their team and he will play there. So would you not look to counteract that by, if you're playing or looking to be Philip Clermont, get Dujon Sterling in at right back for the next 2 games so he's primed and ready to play there? Because I think if James Tavernier lines up against Celtic, they'll be rubbing their hands.
I would have had him in on Saturday. He should have been in on Saturday. Tavernier should not be Rangers captain and should not be at Rangers, and he shouldn't have been Rangers past this summer. His form has been dreadful now for almost 2 seasons. The good games are becoming less and less. His form since the start of the season, that first half was painful to watch, and he was dragging Suter down as well. Suter's having to think. Suter's not only having to think about his own game, he's having to look at the right-hand side, the same as Goldson used to have to all the time. But he's having to look at the right-hand side and go, oh no, what's he up to now? When's he going to give the ball away? Because he gives the ball away so many times. He improved a little bit in the second half, but it was almost impossible to go backwards. And every single podcast I've listened to since the weekend, I've said exactly the same thing. Yeah? So how the manager can't see it and the manager's continuing to play him, he's not doing him any favours whatsoever. And people go on about tarring legacies and all that sort of stuff. I just want this team. You see the new players that have came in, the energy that we're getting off these new players. Your Barons, your Jeffties, your even Czerny. I mean, Czerny at the weekend, not everything came off, but you can see that he's got skill about him and he's trying things that we've not seen on that side before. And then McCausland came on and had a great 15 minutes, But with Tav, he's got to take Tav out the team. If Comont goes to Parkhead with Tav at right back, Yefte at left back, Davies and Suter in our defence after a rebuild in the summer, he deserves all the stick he gets. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. Nobody can defend him if he goes to Parkhead with that defence.
Yeah, Ricky touches on an interesting point there in his closing summary. He mentions Ben Davies. So Robin Proper gets injured. Just being the Rangers thing, when you're a new signing, you need to come in with that custom injury, 3 or 4 games into your spell and then miss a couple. Obviously, Clement thinks it won't be too serious. However, if he doesn't feature this weekend, it would be a problem to think that he's going to play the following weekend. And I don't think Ben Davies is the answer. He's proved he can't go to Parkhead. He lacks physicality in these games. He's tentative and he has a touch of the Borna Barisic about him in this fixture. So would you be worried if Ben Davies is in going forward? Or what's the alternative if Proper is injured? Obviously, Balogun's still injured at the moment. So is there anybody else?
There's none because the squad isn't strong enough to get Leon King there, but he seems to be reluctant to even give Leon King minutes, doesn't he? It's like, I don't want to put him on, I'll just bring on Ben Davies and play him anywhere, so I don't have to bring on Leon King. I'm not saying Leon King's answer either, but at least bring the young lad on and say, go and show us 10, 15 minutes, because I know what Ben Davies offers. I don't know, I think Proper will be back, I think he will be okay. I think he just went off because by all accounts he's holding his groin, but it was his back, he injured, going up for that challenge or whatever, so I think he will be fine. I don't know if he'll play against Ross County. I think he might, but I think we're fine for the Celtic game. But that means the left side will be better and the right side, because I think it's the right side that will be causing concern. But we'll talk about the Celtic game closer to time, Davey. But I just feel the manager has to look at his squad and use it properly. And as you know yourself, you'll probably see it, but we've been linked with a left back. And the only reason I can surmise we've been linked with a left back is maybe somebody's going to go at Advan. I don't know, because why do we need a left back in? We've got that position covered. We need a right back in, and we need a left winger in, or we need a striker in, and we need a number 6 in. We need something else. No, a left back. It's probably one of the positions we're covered okay, unless, let's say, Ridvan maybe goes, because listen, I like Ridvan. I think he's a very good footballer, but his problem is he plays 5 or 6 games and then gets injured, and then comes back, plays 5 or 6 games and then gets injured. You don't really have a run of games that he can offer you something. And I think maybe the manager says, I don't really want to go ahead with him. Plus, he probably isn't one of the only guys in the side who we can maybe get money for as well, because he is quite well high rated in Turkey. Did the Turks pay their transfer fees? I don't know. But listen, I think that's the only reason I maybe linked with this guy. But the guy we linked with, I don't know a lot about him. I've only looked up since I've seen his name, but he's injury prone as well at times, and Ricky told me before we came on he was behind Borna Barisic in the creation squad, so that doesn't hold much water. But listen, if a boy comes in, we'll have to back him. But it's near the end of the window, Ricky and Davey. It's near the end of this window. We've not been linked many players, are we?
No, get money.
What I'd like to say to 2 years is, I seen Hadji was playing today in the B-side again, right? But where's Cantwell?
No, it's a fair point.
He's supposed to be training 1-on-1 with somebody now. Cantwell's getting well paid, right? I know he went in a half for the manager. I know the manager went in a half for him. They don't like each other. That's fine with me. I don't care if they don't like each other. But he's getting paid a lot of money. Surely the manager should say to him, go and play with the B team or go and do something. You just can't be sitting and doing sod all. And if, like Smoke said, he's refusing to play, Obviously, is that no affect your contract? And if you're refusing to play, that must come into your terms of your contract, and then you're refusing to play or whatever, then we don't have to pay. It must. You can't just sit in Callum House, wherever he is, and do sod all, but you're paid this money. Especially when money was a darling in support. And listen, I stuck up for Todd Cantwell quite a lot last season, but he's pissed me off because he's getting paid well to play for Glasgow Rangers Football Club, and he's not even training hardly. He's doing nothing because he wants to go. That's fine, go, but don't piss us off when you're here, and don't act a fool when you're here, because that's basically what he's doing. So the manager's going to have to come out and tell us why, or somebody's going to have to come out and tell us why. He probably won't, but I don't know if it annoys you too, but it's annoying me why Hadji's willing to play and willing to say he wants to play games, but obviously because of contract times, we just go up, we're not going to play him. But at least he's playing the B side and he's enjoying it with the young guys. Campbell should be there as well.
But nobody wants them, Kerr. That's the problem. It's no... We want them gone. The managers told you weeks ago we want them gone. Nobody wants them. How, you imagine people asking for references about Todd Cantwell. He's arguing on social media with Chris Sutton and sending shush burgers to the fans and stuff like that. I mean, nowadays your reputation is everything in football. I mean, these scouts are asking people who are connected with Rangers, what's Todd Cantwell like? Great player, great on his day, can make things happen, but he's an absolute lunatic off the pitch. He's on social media tweeting against the fans. He's arguing with fans. If I was a footballer nowadays, I would just be miles away from social media because it's more hassle than it's worth.
That still doesn't answer the question, Ricky, about why he's not involved training with the first team.
Because the manager doesn't like him. The manager and him are like, you know, and it's the same with Hadji. The manager's trying to make a point.
Played with the B team.
I know with the B team, but I think the manager's trying to make a point that these guys with the first team are players that wanted to be here. And in my opinion, he probably did not expect this to be rumbling on to the end of the window. He probably thought Hadji would be gone after the Euros and also Cantwell would be gone by now. I mean, you've got to be fair to Clement like that. He's getting a bit of a rough deal just now when it comes to these two, you know. Just one point on Proper. I think he'd only missed 7 games in 3 years and he signs for Rangers and gets injured after 3 matches. Man. I swear a witch has put a spell on Rangers because there's no way there's something going on with these injuries. It's just incredible, you know.
No, so I think we've covered a lot of ground there with the first team.
Yeah.
I think the point that you make, Kerr, is absolutely valid in terms of Todd Cantwell not been seen. However, we've publicly depreciated his value. And he's sort of reverted to type because he grew up a Norwich supporter but left them in the same fashion. He couldn't earn a permanent move to Bournemouth because he'd done the same thing there when he wasn't, featured. And I just think it's repetitive behaviour and it's something that we could do without. But unfortunately, as Ricky said, if there's no a buyer, it'll be a lot harder to move on.
I'll say this to Curry, Davey. There's a lot of people work out now across the UK and beyond that maybe they don't like the managers, but they still require that wage to pay bills. Maybe Campbell's getting more than we're getting, obviously, but he's still required to put something in because he's getting paid that money. Now, if I was a footballer, which I wish I was a footballer, but obviously I wasn't good enough and I wasn't fit enough, but would you say to your manager then, I'm going to show you what I can offer and then I'll get a move to prove you were wrong, instead of just sitting off? Maybe I'm different. Maybe that's just me.
But this is the thing about the character of our squad. We expect players to be like that because we all grew up in an era where every Rangers player was like that, who would show the man, who would respond to man management in the right manner. But we're fully a squad just now who fears media attention, who turns the wrong way to fan criticism, and that's a thing that I just think we have to identify within the squad. We'll touch on this in greater detail later in regards to a former manager who was speaking in the press today, but I think we'll unpick that. But there is one person who I do want to come to, and that is Ali McCoist. Now, we all love Ali McCoist. Ali McCoist is an absolute legend, but he was talking on Talk Sport today. And I've never had a chance to talk about Ali McCoist on a podcast, so here we go. I'm going to start with this one. He comes out and he says, I think what we're all thinking, that he doesn't recognise the club at the moment because he thinks it lacks leadership. He doesn't see any. He's worried about things both on and off the park. Now, the way that we're managing things at boardroom level, it seems to be that he's taking aim at that. But if I'm also playing devil's advocate, when Ali McCoist was a manager in the third division, did he not offer Kevin Kyle $8,000 a week to play for us? So is that not the start of this repetitive pattern that we're seeing just now with players coming in and inflated wages? And it's a thing that we've never had under control since the journey up for the third division, Keir.
I think you can look back further on that. We've always paid players probably more than that, but I'm not going to sit here and slag Ali because he was my favourite ever Rangers player and he always will be. So he gets a pass for me, but he spotted me what he said. We're all sitting saying exactly the same thing. And listen, the board don't want to tell us the truth because they know the truth will hurt us. And I don't have a clue actually what's happening. So all we can do is just keep moaning, keep criticising, and hopefully things turn the corner, which I don't know. The boys kind of CEO's got a big job ahead of him. Listen, I know a lot of folk might be saying things about the boy as well because you face it, man, and what experiences he had. But if you want a CEO who's proven something, I know people are mentioning the boy, somebody even mentioned the boy at Brighton. We can't afford guys like that. Football's changed. We can't afford guys like that. So the boy, Jim McCarthy, he's done really well down there. He's done really well with Cabo, and I've had a lot of dealings with him in the past, and they're great for the area, but they do a lot of stuff with kids who need help. But he's also done a lot with St Mirren as well. We can see how they've improved. St Mirren don't have any debt. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of fan on, but don't have any debt. They run without any debt, and you can see Stephen Robinson's got a lot of backing for the board, and they brought a lot of decent players in. They're getting their fans inside, and they've made the ground what it is. So I'll happily take this guy to Rangers and say to him, here you go, do what you've done there, but on a larger scale. But they have to let him do the job, David. They can't say to this guy, you're the CEO, but we want this and we want that. That's not up to them. They've hired this guy to do that, so let him do what he does best and leave him alone. But when he does come in, we'll see what he does, but hopefully he can appoint a director of football as well, because I think we're lacking one of them.
Ricky,
just Super Ali, he's talking as a fan, you know, he's not involved with the club anymore and stuff like that. He's one of us. It'll break his heart. He's watching what he's watching on Saturday. He's watching Dowell, and he knows your Dowells and your Wrights and your Cantwells and your Hadjis. A guy like that, it breaks his heart. He can't understand how these guys are playing for Rangers, getting paid $25,000 a week, some of them, and their heart's not in it, and they've got absolute. For guys like that who played in the teams that he played in, and managing the team with Walter Smith, they can't understand how we've managed to get in a situation where we've got players like this who just have got no interest in playing for the badge, you know. And it probably breaks his heart. The same as it does all us when you watch these guys. You watch the different. Look at the difference on Saturday between Conor Barron and Dowell in the two halves, you know. And that just sums it. He's a fan like us. He's watching that, and he's as heartbroken as we are having to put up with these guys just milking the club, getting paid millions a year and doing absolutely nothing. And the injuries, the problem is Comont has not been backed, and the injuries are the same as last season. These guys are happy to sit in that treatment room and accept a wage. You know, how many actually put their body on the line and want to play for the badge? And it's sad to see, to be honest.
No, I think that is a perfect summary there, Ricky. Keir, if we can touch on Derek H's point, which he's asking, I don't know if anyone has caught up with the snippets in this interview on social media and the postings online, but the weasel that is Michael Beale has resurfaced himself. This time he's not behind a burner account. He has come out on a podcast and saying that basically the reason why things didn't go right for him at the club was down to finances. If he'd known in November what he knew before he came in when he originally took the job, he probably wouldn't have took it. Bearing in mind, this is a guy who has had the largest transfer net spend since Dick Advocaat in the one summer. So if we're being brutally honest, is this Michael Beale just showing him up to be, you know, a complete and utter shyster?
spot on. Michael Beale talks nonsense. He always has. He's I say always christening on the car salesman. That's what he is. Listen, he came in and we thought, fantastic. He was the brains behind Gerrard. But if you ask a QPR fan, if you ask a Sunderland fan, or a Rangers fan, they'll tell you the same thing. The guy talks bollocks. Listen, he might have a hard job because all managers do. He might have not been told things that weren't true. Let's say all managers get that as well. But he spent quite a fair bit of money. I mean, he brought in 4 players for a lot of money. And to say he didn't get any backing, I bet, come on, probably saying I wish I had the same backing as you got. But to blame that in the club and then telling Sakala he wanted Sakala to stay, but we all know he told Sakala, don't go near the dressing room when the players are there, go back and get your stuff and everybody's away. So stuff like that annoys me. Michael Beale likes to sound his own voice. Michael Beale could actually write books because he likes to make up fiction. He doesn't like fact. And I don't really want to talk about him anymore because when he does, it annoys me. Because I'm not saying he was the cause of this, but he never helped. He made it worse than the situation actually was. Listen, this is a guy that came up to watch Rangers when Van Bronckhorst was still the manager and he knew he was getting the job. So don't talk nonsense and say he didn't want to take the job. He knew he was getting it when Gio was still there. That's how much a snake he is.
No, and also he got rid of. I mean, as I'm saying, like Sakala. Who do you trust, Sakala or Michael Beale? You know, their stories are chalk and cheese. So who do you believe? The Cockney car salesman, who Sunderland fans seen right through him straight away after he left Glasgow. You know, we seen through him. Sunderland fans seen right through him right away. I've never seen a manager. Imagine going on Twitter with a fake account and arguing with people and sending messages how good you are as a manager tactically, man. That's a guy that is mentally unhinged there. And you've got to remember, he got rid of Sakala from the wing. He got rid of Kolak, who scored goals. And he brought in Lammers, Danilo and Dessers to play together in a front three in Scotland. And even I remember listening to podcasts in the past and people from Holland who knew these players are like, how are they 3 players going to play together? It doesn't. Even they were scratching their heads, going, "I'm interested to see how he's going to do it," because it did nothing. This man did made sense whatsoever, and he's going to struggle. I mean, he's made an absolute fool of himself since he left Sunderland as well. So I'd be very surprised if you see him back in management soon. You know, there's a lot of good guys struggling to get back in management, and he maybe he'll get back into coaching the same as Ian Cathro, but as a manager, useless, crazy man, absolutely crazy.
But Ricky, this is it as well. It's the fact that, you know, he's putting the blame culture on why things went wrong. This is the guy who came into the dressing room first and foremost when he took his first press conference and said that he has to win one of the first 2 available trophies. And then we had a chance of winning the League Cup and the Scottish Cup, and he won neither. So, and then when it didn't go right for him, he made excuses and said, "Oh, wait till I get my own players in." He then brings in his own players. He heralded Jose Cifuentes as the guy who was going to take us to the next level. Now, all of that was just platitudes and none of it came to fruition, unfortunately, for his sake, but probably fortunately for the clubs. I just think, you know, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, and Michael is just that character T, isn't he?
Yeah, I hope we never have to speak about him on the podcast again, to be honest. Like Kerr says, he's a waste of your breath, mate. He's not even worth talking about. Next subject.
No, very aptly put. So the next subject I've got, and I do want to touch on, is Yanis Hadji. Now, you were saying earlier there, Kerr, that he's doing all the right things and the fact that he's playing along with the B team. I think him and Clinton Nsiala played in the heavy 6-2 defeat to Blackburn Rovers reserves today. So that's maybe no a stake for a claim for Nsiala. Hadji wasn't involved in any of the goals today. But with the window shortening in terms of it's going to be shut very soon, the fact there doesn't seem to be ample buyers for him at the minute, there is the speculation regarding the clause, which neither the manager nor the club has addressed. While he's here, and if we don't get any better, is now, with us having Ross County at home this weekend, the time to introduce him back into the fold. And while he's there, just use him. We might even appreciate his value in the week or so before the window shuts.
I don't think we will, Dave. I think that ship's sailed on him as well. I don't think we will, just because of it's been said. We don't know if the clause is real or not. You see, nobody's mentioned it, but I'd imagine it is. So I don't think we will. Listen, Giannis has said at one point he would be playing elsewhere. Now he's back, but he's coming back and he's doing all the right things. But I think you yourself, the longer the player's out, the more they become a world beater. And he's not a world beater, but he is better than Tom Lawrence, which that's what we need. But I would rather come on, wait and brought in a youngster and gave him a chance and came back away. Listen, Hadji probably has to leave for his own good. And the club want him to leave. Can't be always the same. So hopefully they do. If they don't, then I'll be probably two more going on somewhere. I'd rather somebody mentioned Archie Stevens. I'd rather somebody, the young players are given a chance, because these are the future. I don't want to, like Dillo on Saturday, get a game. Don't ask me why, but he get a game. Whereas Bailey Rice is on the bench. Now, I'm not saying Bailey Rice is going to play a performance and everybody goes, wow, Bailey Rice. But until these guys are given minutes in the park, and I'm not saying 10, 50, I'm talking about game after game, they're not going to improve. They're not going to show you what they're made of until they're given that chance. But rather they get chances, Archie Stevens, Bailey Rice, Robbie Fraser at left back, you've got Cole McKinnon can play across the middle, guys like that, and going back the way and looking at Hadji, looking at Dillo, because we know what they offer and it's not what we need. We need to go forward, and if that's where the young kids at the moment, plus others, that's fine. But we can't keep saying we've not got this player trading model, the academies, blah, 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 and not using the ones we've got, because that's just pointless, and you're spending money in the academy, but not using any of the talent that's here. And some of these boys will go on to make a career for themselves. A lot won't be at Rangers, but there's obviously maybe one or two, if we've done it right, could it not be an asset for us and save us money?
Well, Ricky, obviously one thing that Michael Beale did mention was the fact that he was the guy that recommended Zed Jacobs to the club. And lo and behold, there hasn't really been an academy player that's transcended into the first team, certainly to stake a regular claim, since that all took shape. I think that alludes to the fact where we are. Far too many of the clubs' due diligence in bringing in the next person is on the back of say-so between, going on someone's recommendation. I don't think we do enough homework, and that is because, as Graham Souness alluded to last week, we don't have a football brain there. It's all done in word of mouth, and it's just, we throw enough grenades at it, hoping that one sticks. What do you subscribe to in the fact that we played St Johnstone at the weekend at home in a big pitch, and yet, other than Robbie Fraser, we never really introduced a young guy, and Robbie Fraser's, 21 turning 22. Bailey Rice sat on the bench, didn't get involved. These are the games that we really need to involve these guys. Is it a trust issue for Clement? Is he not want to throw himself under the bus by throwing in a young guy, and if it goes horribly wrong, then that's all at his head? He doesn't think they're ready. He sees them in training every day. Or do we just need to take a chance now and hope that it sticks by developing them properly? Yes, give them time, but we're not going to know if they're good enough if we don't see them get enough minutes, are we?
No, you've got to give them a chance. You've got to give them a proper chance as well. And it's not always going to work. No offence to Leon King, but we chucked Leon King into the deep end, and we didn't have a choice with Sands in the Champions League, and it was a disaster. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it with the next youngster that comes along. Fraser needs. I would put Fraser in at left back right now. I would have Yefte ahead of him. I'm no offence, I'm a little bit worried about Yefte when we go to Celtic Park. I know he's everyone's favourite player. When we play Ross County at home, it'll be the same again. He'll look fantastic. He'll be running up and down the wing. But he doesn't have to do much defending when we're playing games like that. It's when we have to go to the tough places away that we'll see what he's made of. So for me, we've got to give these young players a chance. Rice is fantastic. He's exactly what our team needs. Like number 6, play Barron. Look at Barron, man. Barron's only 20, 21-year-old, and he's been fantastic since he came in the team, And this number 10 position, we really, really need to get a number 10 in before the window closes. I've been a little bit disappointed. I know it's only the start of the season, but Diamande, I sort of feel like he's sort of playing within himself a little bit, you know. We're going to game 3, it's the same. Game 4, you're wanting to see a little bit more. Game 5, and I'm not writing the guy off or like slagging him like too much, because I think he's a fantastic player. But I would just like to see a little bit more. He was moved to the 10 in the last couple of games, and he needs to be involved a little bit more to be.
No, I think I know where.
He's never a number 10.
No, I think I know where you were going with that, Ricky. But see, just to come back on you on that. Now, Diamande is probably used to playing a certain way. I think for all the clips that we've seen, he did look to play an advanced 10 at his previous club.
Yeah.
Is the fact the way that we set up just now that he hasn't got a reliance behind him in terms of there's no consistent shape. Sometimes it's him playing the deep line midfielder, and it's been Tom Lawrence that's been playing in the 10, and a deep line midfielder's not really his game. So we keep changing it from game to game now. There's no cohesion there. Dujon Sterling was introduced at the weekend. Then Kieran Dowell was put in. Conor Barron's been in and out. There's just sort of... We're not building up partnerships. It just seems to be square pegs and round holes at the moment. And we're not really going to see him flourish until we've got a settled team.
Yeah, I mean, he used to play off the left. And I think that's what I'm saying. I'm not putting him in the bracket with Lawrence and all these sort of players, because I think Diamande is a fantastic player. And if we're going to get anything at Parkhead in a couple of days, 10 days' time, he's going to have a fantastic game in the midfield with Barron, you know. And I totally agree with you that we're a man short in there. Him and Barron's having to do so much work. Even Dowell at the weekend. I mean, Dowell played at the weekend. And another absolute pointless performance from him. But I would just like to see a little bit more. I would just like to see him emerge as a leader and sort of be that player in midfield, like you see with Barron. Just see a few more patterns, a few more, and you do see a lot of flashes of what he can do. But I would just like to see it a little bit more.
Kerr, I know Ricky says that he wants to see a 10, and me and you have long spoke at length in regards to we feel that the club needs a number 6, but as Clement does want to play with a 10. However, I'd be concerned if we're going to Parkhead with somebody playing in the 10, because I think LT 1872 makes a great point in the fact that we are far too overrun in these games. They play with a very congested midfield 3, and they play in triangles, and they follow each other all over the pitch from right to left. Everyone follows each other. And we don't have that. As you see from set pieces, shies, corners, they all move together as a team, and we stand and watch as they move away from us. We have to look to be sort of more residual, more robust, more cohesive as a unit, and maybe be a bit more deep lying so that we deny the spaces for them to play into. So do you think that we should maybe look to change away from this 10? Because in the 3.5 years that we've been playing with it since Steven Gerrard left, we haven't won a league title. So it's no a positive formula for, championship winning football, is it?
No, but I think if you're going to play a 10, you need somebody who's mobile. We don't have anybody that's mobile. You need somebody who can link up and create. And we don't have a partnership either behind the 10 or beside the 10. So I think we have to move away from that. But the way we play and the way we are left open at times, we have to go with a 6 and 2/8. I'll make it stronger defensively. I'll make it harder to break. You've seen it in Kiev last week. There's too much space for teams to punt in. And Barron and Beale get so much work to do covering that space, and one can be pulled out to the one, and then there's one left middle himself. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be more tighter. Football is not that hard, Davey. I'm not trying to be thingy here, but it's a simple game if you follow instructions. Some of your players don't, but you play to your player strengths, and we've not got a 10 at this moment in time who's good enough to play there. So it has to make it stronger. And I know I want Sterling at right back, but it will not play him there. So if you play Sterling and Barron with Diamande in front of him, that's strong, because the 3 of them are quite physical, and the 3 of them have got legs and are mobile. So it'll be hard to break through. Do you know what I mean? Because Sterling does a lot of cover, so does Barron, and Beale can do the get forward when he wants to, but he's got legs to get back. Whereas if you're playing Lawrence there, there's not enough mobility there with Tom Lawrence. Listen, we know Tom on the ball is very good. He can create at times, and he's got a good shot on him, but he doesn't do it often enough, as you've seen start this season. he is coming on in age. But you've got him there, then you've got the two boys behind him doing so much work to cover, especially when your left back, the left back is trying to get forward and your right back doesn't know if he's going forward or coming back because his legs are away. So there's not enough pace on our side, there's not enough structure on the team. When you look at Rangers play, sometimes you don't know who's where. So we need at least have a solid three in the middle. That's a base, and if you can get two behind him and proper and Suter, that's a base here, and then you've got a keeper behind him. That's your spine. And listen, I've been giving Dessers credit, but Dessers is our best chance for number 9 at the moment. I get man, you don't know what's happened to him. Danilo's coming back, but Dessers does cause problems. He does score goals. Granted, he misses them, but we can't have everything in life. But at the moment in time, he's the strongest one we've got. So if even we put him in front, I think with Beale running him off, Diamante running off him, it would help him so much as well. I've said that a while back. Dessers needs players running about him as well. We just can't always rely on him. So, but we have to make it stronger. That's what the manager has to do. Money or no, he has to make it stronger. Look at his players and say, like, what's your best position? What's yours? Who can I fit in there? And go with it. I know I've said it and I'm repeating myself, and folk can probably say that, but go with a system that suits the team. Don't go with a system that suits Clement until Clement gets his players in to play that system.
Ricky, there's one thing I want to sort of close on, and you spoke at length in great detail today on X, and I just want to shed light on it. It's the fact that we have announced that the third and final instalment of the steel shipment container is here. So the work on the stadium can get, completed, and hopefully within the time scale that was first, spoke about, which I believe is the week of 28th, 29th September. I believe that would coincide with the Hibs game. So as long as our first European fixture was away from home, it would allow us the chance to potentially have Ibrox as our European ground. Failure to do that, would mean that we'd have to play our European fixtures at Hampden if UEFA didn't grant us a special dispensation. But what's your thoughts on it now that it is here? Have we just to, sweep it under the carpet, or should the board address this? I'd say that the project has failed in terms of the timescales and obviously the contingencies. So going forward, do we have to look at the sort of second phase of this project next year and scrap it?
Well, they're going to take credit for getting it done, that's for sure. I'm sure they'll be there cutting ribbons when... and we all want to get back to Ibrox as soon as possible. I mean, I would even think about playing that first European game with the top of the Copeland shut if we need to be honest. And I mean, if next year, if the steel is going to be here and all the material is here, there's no harm in if the money's already been budgeted and it's not affecting the first team budget, then for sure. If you're confident you're going to get it done and the steel's here, then we can get it done and get it out the way. But do not attempt to do the project the same way as we did this summer. This has been like, you cannot trust people from China giving you guarantees on a piece of paper that's like toilet paper, basically saying, oh yeah, the steel's going to be there in time and you're going to have your dream stadium done in 4 weeks. I mean, Bisgrove, I don't know if it was him that signed off, but whoever signed off on it, they've caused us absolute misery this summer. And I mean, I've not been going to the games to Hampden. I know Kerr has, and all the fans that I've spoken to have hated every second of it. It's actually been a lot worse than what fans were anticipating. So as soon as we get back into Ibrox, the better. And to be honest, we need to forget about any projects. Nobody's interested in sports bars, 600 new seats in the Broom Lawn, filling in the corners. Forget all that crap. Let's get a good team on the pitch that we're happy about and we're winning football matches again and we're competing for trophies. Then we can worry about all the other crap in the background. But let's get a good winning team on the park and then worry about all the other stuff.
And so say all of us. Kerr, you get in and add to that in regards to the fact that this is phase one of a 2-year project. You think this will change the way we do things at the club going forward, and we might see plans altered next year?
I don't know. That's probably going to be left at the door of the new CEO, isn't it? Hopefully, listen, every stadium needs upgraded at times, and ours does as well. And if it's going to help us in the long run, and listen, the disabled thing needed to be done, Davey. I don't care what anybody says. These people need to be situated where they can actually see. We're not getting wet and we're not getting treated like crap, so it needed to be done. So hopefully it's done very quickly. The other ones for next season, I'm not sure they'll do that yet. I think it just depends. But all we want to do is get back home. Listen, Hampden's great for semi-finals and cup finals, right? But apart from that, I would take to go there every week. It's murder. Traffic's murder. The parking is just as bad. And listen, I know the crowd wasn't great at the weekend, but there's a lot of people who have actually bought tickets but just don't go because they don't like the stadium. They don't like. I know sitting with family members, not sitting with the mates, so they just say, I'll buy a ticket still, but I'll watch it on TV. I think if a game isn't on TV, the attendance might have been a bit more. Granted, if it was at Ibrox, it'd probably been a lot more. But for different reasons, people didn't go. But a lot of folk I know were still buying tickets, but just not going because it's Hampden. So to me, that's your own. You can do that if you want. Everybody's entitled to do what they want. But as they're buying tickets, so to me, they're still there in spirit and they're still giving the board money instead of no buying tickets either.
No, I think that's a very fair summary. And with that, we'll leave things there. Just before we go, I'd like to thank everybody in the comments. It was a really busy show this evening. My thanks once again to Mr. Scott Kerr and Ricky Forbes for joining me. We will be back on Friday night for the Ross County preview, so make sure you join us there and bring a beer with you. Just remember, the podcast is now on audio now. Find us on Podbean. And remember, the podcast is and always will be free. So it's good night from them, and it's good night from me. Good night.